Hi, my name is Luna Mejia. I'm going to be presenting my Race in America project. So the key takeaways from the presentation included the statistics behind a black family's wealth versus an American white family. The presentation just included many graphs and charts to show these statistics. And one of the main points was how much inheritance has influenced wealth amongst the races. And inheritance is one of the main reasons why white American families have remained so wealthy, because they keep passing down this wealth for generations, while black families did not have this wealth passed down to them, so it was harder for them to achieve their wealth. Another takeaway that I got from the presentation was how most of the wealthiest people around the world are indeed white, like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and other famous billionaires. And another key takeaway I found was the difference of home ownership rates between the races, and how predominantly the white American race owns a lot more homes compared to the blacks or Latinos or other races. So what is de facto segregation? So de facto segregation is defined as a separation of people that occurs by fact rather than by legally imposed requirements. So this segregation does not result from any racial, ethnic, or societal differences, and instead it's the result of personal choice or customs or And then juror segregation is the opposite. It is more to do with racial, ethnic, or societal difficulties, and it's potentially discriminatory separation of groups, basically, occurring according to government enacted laws. So it differs from the de facto segregation. It's kind of the opposite. Well, it is opposite, sorry. What is the purpose of the FHA and the VA in terms of home ownership? The Federal Housing Administration, also known as FHA, basically provides individuals with mortgages and insurance on loans, and these loans are made by the FHA approved lenders throughout the U.S., and they're given to single-family homes. They improve housing conditions and reduce the amount of foreclosures, and the Department of Veteran Affairs, also known as the VA, handles the home ownership of veterans, so they provide them home loans and other home ownership benefits to these veterans, and they just basically assist them. So what policies did the FHA and the VA have in history that was purposely discriminatory? So from the 1930s to the 1960s, the FHA, VA, and other federal housing programs were mainly whites only. Redlining was super common during this time, and I will explain the definition next. But basically, black families have lost out on at least like $212,000 in personal wealth over the last 40 years because their home was redlined. And basically this meant that certain areas were marked as not eligible for the bank programs that the programs like FHA and the VA provided. So a lot of these neighborhoods were typically the large minority and included all the races like African Americans, Latinos, and other races, and they did not get approved for loans and other home ownership benefits that the FHA and the VA offered. So redlining is known as a process where bank programs and other institutions refuse to offer mortgages or offer worse rates to their customers in certain neighborhoods based on their racial and ethnic composition. So like I stated before, there were certain neighborhoods that were marked as ineligible and they got worse rates, and it was just racially discriminatory, and they weren't offered the same rates as white families were. So I found a property on Zillow that's a smaller home, and around 23 years ago was selling for a little less than $200K, and currently in 2021 it is sold for $860,000. So the price quadrupled over time, and this shows that older homes have been getting much more expensive over time, and basically they've just gotten a lot more expensive. So talk about home ownership throughout history and its effects. So home ownership throughout history has mainly had a large effect on families, especially families that are from a different race or are of a different race than white American families. They struggled a lot because of all of this racial discrimination with home ownership. So this made them have a lot of housing problems with their loans, and they had to constantly struggle financially and have a lot of issues Like, it was really hard for them because not only did they have to pay for their rent, but they also have to pay for clothes, for food, and other essentials. So with more costly home issues because of racial discrimination, these families constantly struggled financially, and therefore they struggled through all aspects of their life, and everything was it was just a lot harder for them than for white American families that didn't get the same discrimination. So in my opinion, I feel that we should all make sure to promote equality of all the races and to ensure that every home ownership program and other programs are not racially discriminating. The more we spread awareness on these issues, the more people will be aware and find a solution. Over the years, I feel that many people have done a great job with all the BLM movements and protests compared to before. However, I feel that not a lot of people have really recognized racism or racial discrimination with home ownership in particular, because I did not know about it that much. Like, I was not aware about it a lot till this presentation. So I feel like many people should be more aware on this in particular with home ownership. So according to the article, many minorities, counties, districts, or other areas are not receiving enough COVID treatment compared to other areas. So similar to how redlining was mentioned with home ownership, only certain areas are being offered enough COVID treatment, and many areas are not getting the right COVID treatment that they deserve because they are looked at as a minority. And I feel that this has become an issue because people feel that only the richer or more white areas are the areas that need the vaccine and COVID treatment the most, that they deserve it more than the other people from the minority areas. And this is not true at all, and it shows total racial discrimination. All areas should be recognized as equally important and should be equally be distributed vaccines and COVID treatment. And certain areas should not be discriminated just because of the race, or racially discriminated or minority, And yeah, that is my video. So thank you for watching my Race in America project. Bye.